Hey, Gatsby here with a short vid about Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2022. That's right, I'm a huge fan of the children's card game that requires an extensive knowledge of exceptionally niche combo lines paired with a doctorate in English to accomplish anything beyond.
With no monsters left on the field, I summon Dark Magician. Declare direct attack.
Given our loss of Kazuki Takahashi earlier this year from his shark attack, I wanted to take some time to reflect over some things and give some average takes while I mull over which of the larger video projects I'm going to be working on next. And of course, thank you for all the comments, and if you're wondering why my upload schedule is non-existent, it's because I'm usually procrastinating editing videos on twitch.tv/theaveragestream. Alright, 2022 started off strong with the arrival of Master Duel, and it's not an exaggeration to call this one of the biggest moments in the history of the game. Because for the first time ever, we had an online dueling sim that was officially supported by Konami, and the second time ever DLM solo carried advertising for another Konami project. This got duelists around the world hyped to get their game on, despite the ban list being an amalgamation of both TCG and OCG formats, with Americans finally getting to experience the thrill of dropping the level 2 Earth Insect once again. I too got swept up in the hype, and it made me realize how much I wanted to return to the game after taking a 9-year break from the TCG. Sure, I played Duel Links, but it's much more exciting to play a more complete format even if the game was a few months behind cardboard Yu-Gi-Oh! But for someone who's been out of it so long, everything felt new to me. But that wasn't enough to stop the impending doom that was the average gacha experience from taking root, with newer players getting pushed out because you can only lose to Numeron OTK and DD Dynamite FTK so many times before realizing maybe only winning games against self-TK event decks with this teched out Taiba starter deck isn't exactly fun. For myself, I had my own revelation that the cheap online alternative was quickly pricing me out of the game. The ease of making the initial 2 to 3 decks was nice, but when you take into account the Master Pack locked UR and SR staples as well as keeping up with the new release of cards, picking up a cheap rogue deck IRL is a far cheaper option in most cases. And so I followed Konami's breadcrumbs right to the singles market, and I was shocked to see that several of the decks I wanted to play were relatively cheap when compared to Master Duel. And with the arrival of Alvaz Strike, competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Never felt more accessible to players. And over the last few months, previously price-gated staples and hand traps received generous reprints, with more being regularly announced. I even started attending locals again with some friends joining in as well. But at this point I need to take a slight detour so that I, just like most every other Yu-Gi tuber on the platform, can have a laugh at the Act Man. And as much as I'd love to act like Predaplants are the biggest problem ever in the year of our tier limit Ishizu 2022, this video was comedy fucking gold. Large portions of the video had me uncertain if he was being ironic, but every time he complained about how the legendary fisherman couldn't handle the usual suspects, small peaks of genuine anger slipped that made me realize he either deserves an Oscar or needs to watch some actual modern play. After Power of the Elements irreversibly changed the landscape of the game, followed by Ishizu support, we've been in a tier 0 format. To hear someone's jimmies getting rustled about legendary fisherman Predaplant matchups brought a smile to my face without fail every single time. He also talked about the anime, and I just finished Zexal, Zayar, and I'm considering making a video on that, so let me know if you want to see that. But I do want to say it feels dishonest to act like everyone watched and remembered Yu-Gi-Oh! For only season 0, and now it's just a lame show about card games. We can say card games on motorcycles is stupid, but so is chaining yourself to an anchor or a saw blade or a flamethrower. Card games are stupid and boring for the average viewer, so wild shit like that is used to spice up the act of dueling. That all being said, I'm not going to act like he didn't make some really good points in his video. Even more recently, Ludwig hosted a tournament which prompted one asshole to complain on Twitter about how bad casuals who can't comprehend anything past GX and Yugi boomers are coming into the game. And as a Yugi boomer, I take offense to this. Sure, at the time of writing this, Ishizu tier limit makes me want to slam my head into a wall. This deck is so overly stacked that the OCG is currently trying to act like 2022 didn't exist by hitting almost every single card in the deck. Please, read the Sky Striker manga. Doesn't the Gate Guardian retrain look so exciting? Please pay no attention to the Chain Link 8 behind the standby face. And in America, we're expected to just wait until Konami realizes that cards like Instant Fusion shouldn't be playable right now. And even though they did the thing that everyone asked for 2 years prior, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Of course, not everyone at the Ragtag Locals is going to be playing the Ishizu tier limit deck, especially after totally not an emergency ban list. But in my opinion, even most rogue decks comboing through a 10-step waltz to windmill slam the same generically available 4 extra deck bosses is enough to overwhelm most casual players. So what the fuck's the solution? Gatekeep casuals with their rose-tinted glasses about getting a god card with secret anime-only effects that they pulled on Christmas from one of those flea market vending machines? Or As a community, we can encourage newer players to check out alternative formats. I recently started playing more Edison, and I'm shocked that I don't see more people advertising retro formats as an alternative for newer players. Even locally, we have players come to spectate because it's unusual to see people actually having fun with Yu-Gi-Oh! And with a lower cost of entry due to most cards having countless reprints, it's a solid option for people looking for a slower paced game with technical play that captured the attention of so many 10 years prior. And if the whites scare you, then try out the OG old school format, Go! If you want something a little bit further down the line, you could play something like Tengu Plant that offers a touch of the XYZ cards. And as someone who's personally spent thousands of hours and dollars on Duel Links, I totally understand the appeal of the speed duel format that Konami's recently been pushing. And even if I didn't play toss or hat format that much, I still think it's great that we have more alternative format communities breaking out onto the scene. But I think this is a much more constructive way to help build the community, rather than expecting someone who's never touched a Yu-Gi-Oh card in their life to somehow manage their way through a game state like this.
Wealth and glory